welcome everybody. Thank you. So as many of you've already indicated and said, it's springtime and we're coming out of lockdown. The world is emerging, we're emerging. So it's really also a beautiful moment as we come out of lockdown to use this time as a threshold. Now, I love the word threshold because it's really about distinguishing or separating the kernel from the husk. It's about coming to the truth of something. And so, yes, we've all been and are, many of us, collectively, individually in crisis. There's just no way that we can get round that. And when we're in crisis on our own, it does feel very alone. It's very difficult to be reminded that we're not alone when we're in crisis, because we're also cut off from ourselves and we feel separated from everybody else. And I wonder, obviously we've been tussling with all sorts of painful feelings, but some of you've indicated, Carolyn was talking about the fact that in spite of all of that, lockdown has also maybe brought something else, or little insights into stuff that, there might have been little blessings. And for myself, for example, I realised that my nervous system has been very happy with the fact that I've worked very hard, but that there's been so much else that hasn't stimulated it. The fact that there was such simplicity, it's just get out of the door, walk, see the whole world in your back garden. And I would love it if you could just take a couple of minutes to sit in silence and maybe to make some notes for yourself about what good things have been so good that they were like little arrivings home. What things happened that made you feel more truthful to yourself that you'd like to hold on to? Because that is the whole challenge. As Julia was saying, how do you hold on to those things that put you back in touch with yourself? What are they? First of all, we need to know. So if you could just spend just a few minutes to think about little glimmerings that you might have had or that you want to hold on to. So in order to ease that process of holding on to what really matters, holding on to what really nourishes you, what nurtures you, it's really important to look under the bonnet. And that's also why we're here today, because if there's a lot of rattling going on under the surface, if there's a lot of noise that's not really audible, but actually it's very distracting, this looking after ourselves requires so much willpower. And willpower, of course, is dependent on how much energy you have at any given moment. So if you're exhausted, you buckle. It's that simple. So if the noise quietens down underneath, it's so much easier to be present and to be reminded and to know that actually there isn't a choice. That if you want to lead your life, there is no choice. You need to look after yourself, because otherwise you can't give. We cannot give to the world if we don't give to ourselves or look after ourselves. And there's just let's have a little look at this. I mean, life is constantly painful in one way or another. It's the reality. There's nothing personal about it. That's just the way it is. To be fully alive, we get hurt. Now that in itself is one thing, but we maintain this hurt for far too long, because then pain then becomes suffering. So this is quite an interesting distinction between pain and suffering, because what do? We worry. Well, first of all, we have judgment. You know, your story's not personal to you. We have opinions that we did something wrong. And judgment absolutely stops everything. It stops growth, it stops movement, it stops creativity, because it's final. There's no more surprises possible if I have opinions. Where does my curiosity go? Out of the window. Openness disappears. So judgment leads to suffering. Worry leads to suffering. You know, we endlessly regret what we've done. So we spend our time in the past, or if we're very imaginative, all these what-if scenarios about the future. All of this takes us away from where we are. Now, I love something I just discovered about the word worry, is that it comes from Old English, which is it's a word like wurgen or something like that. And it originally meant to strangle. And of course we all know that when we're worrying, we're not breathing. We stop, we're just up here. You know, it's so interesting. And then it became to harass. That's the next meaning of that word. Until finally, now we use it as causing anxiety. But all of these things, it's wonderful if you look at words, the origin of words, they're always so physical, they're always descriptors of actually how we experience life and how we process life. How can we move on and become more nurturing? First of all, actually, another way of looking at this is to be reminded that when we are hurt in any way, when we're worrying, when we're angry, when we're frightened, anxious, the fight or flight system is active. So that is our whole threat system. Okay, so if we're either moving towards or away, you're not here. And what does the caregiving system, how does that get activated? Well, that's through love. That is through nurture. That is through what you're doing today. Because we slow down and then we start feeling connected. And that is when things start changing. We feel that we belong. Growth happens when we calm down, when we nurture, when the caregiving system is activated. And the beautiful thing is that once we calm down, so looking under the bonnet, once we can get that to quieten down, so there's not all that leakage of energy that's going on all the time, it's so much easier to really hear the voice of your own intuition, the voice, your own inner voice. Because, I mean, I know this from my own anxiety. I'm such a neurotic person, and when I get really bad, I can't distinguish between my real inner voice and the anxious voice. And that's very frightening, because you feel lost in your own home, which is here. But when we calm down, there isn't any doubt. It's so clear, the difference between the one and the other. And I love this poem by Mary Oliver, which I'm just going to read you a couple of lines from, which is all about that, where she says, little by little, as you left their voices behind, so in other words, as the leakage gets mended, there was a new voice which you slowly recognised as your own, that kept you company as you strode deeper and deeper into the world, determined to do the only thing you could do, determined to save the only life that you could save. I know this is a very overused and overquoted poem, but I do think it's really important to be reminded of that there is only one life that we can save, and that is our own. And so just as when you go to the doctor, when we're dealing with our own inner life, let's get out of the illusion that anyone's going to cure us or fix us. It doesn't work like that. We have to become whole again. That's what healing, the word healing has wholeness in it. That's what it's about. It's about being big enough to embrace the whole of yourself, every part of it. And the metaphor that I keep coming back to in my meditations, which is so simple, is if I have a handful of dye, indigo for example, and I put it in a tiny glass of water, the whole of that water will be indigo. If I throw that same handful into an ocean, what happens? And so how can I become that ocean to my discomfort? How can I be big enough to contain it? And how can I come out of the illusion that there's only that? Because whilst there's pain, there's also joy, you know. But what do? We keep focusing on the one, and what we focus on is what we get. So if we can make space for it, not look away, but make space for it and realise there's so much more, that's a way towards healing. So let's do a meditation together, and in preparation for going into silence. So making yourselves really comfortable, and by that I mean remind yourselves of your body, remind yourself of your body, feel your feet on the floor, you know, you can stamp them if you like, roll your shoulders, be aware that you have this beautiful spine upon which, you know, everything hangs off the spine. And then gently, in your own time, when you're ready, shutting your eyes, and perhaps feeling the whole of your body as one whole, and anchoring yourself in this very, very beautiful, holy place. By hearing for a moment, using your hearing, just noticing the sounds around you, near you, perhaps further away. Space between the sounds. And then dropping back into your body, into into your beautiful body and taking a moment, if it's appropriate, to set yourself an intention for this day. Perhaps how you can be present with yourself in an open way, non-judgmental, curious way. Maybe inviting yourself to be present with kindness. And then noticing the rhythm, the gentle rhythm of your breath. Perhaps becoming aware how the out-breath always helps with relaxation. So just being open to notice how and in what way your body relaxes on the out-breath. And that might not be the whole of your body, it might just be parts. So the out-breath always an opportunity to surrender, to let go, to settle. And then going on a journey of a scan. Let's go on a gentle body scan. Perhaps aware, perhaps grateful to your beautiful body, grateful to your body. It's the only true home that we ever have whilst here on earth. So feeling your facial muscles, the wind, and then dropping from your head space down into your heart space. Noticing the gentle rocking rhythm of your breath in your chest. And then down into your stomach and your lower abdomen. All the time curious. Curious and kind in your attitude. Perhaps noticing softening, warming. Just surfing on your breath as you go down. Noticing the connection with the chair, your bum, your thighs, shins, calves, and then feeling your feet on the floor, rooted on the earth here, in this very special, safe place. Following the gentle, gentle rhythm of your breath, the in and the out. something to do. And when sooner or later you get distracted by thoughts, be kind. The way that you would if you were with a child, gently bringing your attention, your kind attention back to the breath, or just back to the rhythm of the movement in your chest, the gentle rocking. And if you like, you can imagine on each in-breath as you sit here that you bring in energy, that you bring in sunshine, warmth, whatever it is that you need. That you bring that right down into every cell of your body. I'm going to quote to you as you allow yourself to rock on the rhythm of your breath. These beautiful words, this thought by Rachel Naomi Remen, who says, perhaps the most important thing we bring to another person is the silence in us. The silence in us. The sort of silence that is a place of refuge, of rest, of acceptance of someone as they are. We're all hungry for that silence. And in its presence we can find something beyond the moment. A strength on which to build a life. A strength on which to build a life. Silence is a place of enormous power and healing. And so what if you can use today to offer that silence as a great gift to yourself? And so before letting go of this meditation, here's another opportunity to set yourself an intention for the next few hours. How and in what way to nurture yourself fully. And then when you're ready, letting go of the meditation. And finding your way to comfort in this place.